Hey, what's going on? Basically, ever since 2008, I've always thought about having my own chemical company. I've been doing a lot of research with hydrogen for a really long time, and all of the discoveries we can make with its combinations and through the different four states of matter, and we could do a lot of cool things. Sorry, I'm a little tired. I'm working out at the gym right now, but I'm trying to explain pretty fast. Um, we'll start off with electronic spins and how the electric charges help with the curvature of space and time. It's completely linearly new, and all of the collisions are the electronic collisions or constant collisions inside the gas container or the gray matter. Let's see. I Throughout the years I had conversations about or hints about the chemical company. It most likely help out the atmosphere in a lot of ways that people probably wouldn't understand. I can also do other things with the chemical company besides producing more oxygen larger than forest. It's basically a big deal on the planet. We're basically burning the ocean, even though the ocean levels are rising. It's not really a problem. We mostly did this to our planet, and the only solutions that we have is burning the fuel and or other solutions of preserving and different physical states of matter. This was examples of the atmosphere, and a lot of things we could do in the atmosphere to help with our problems. Also, shieldings and making more atmospheric collisions into the storm with our electronic configurations, along with the collisions from space and or the collisions from the core, volcanic-like. Usually they're ejected in different celestial seasons. Although this was an example of storms battles all over the planet. The storms battles all over the planet. Hold on one second, my phone froze. It's basically different types of matter methods of attracting different charges and or activating point like magnitudes from space. The magnitudes will eventually come and or instantly come at the the right electronic configuration if it's from space. Sometimes some of the collisions from the gray matter of our sun reaches the Earth and gravitationally spirals and collides with our constant cycle and our rock cycle, which is more celestial than anything else, depending on the type of storms and where the storm spouts are over the core. It's a lot of cool things that we could do. So basically, my hydrogen company will not only make the discoveries and the things that we need to for other foundations in our future electronically. It would bring more to the table than anybody have ever imagined, especially in sustaining like wormholes and other spattles throughout space. The sustainment of wormholes would be the electronic configuration. There are various other introductions to the electronic interactions and or the atomic universe. The atomic universe is really huge. So the nuclear phases of interacting with light and matter phases will be completely linear. These were some of the examples I was giving around the time. Although I've been talking constantly about my hydrogen company, as we split oxygen from the hydrogen using the ocean. Yes, it's a natural resources, but mostly the chemical company is a combination of making bigger things for the planet. A lot of things have never even been broken through and are made discoveries with because we haven't really had the right plasma methods to sustain these different types of bonds. Plasma is the only way we can sustain these different types of bonds, and along with the different interactions as we're around these celestial seasons and or the position of the gas planets. The gas planets are the only other electronically active and or electromagnetic wave-like active, corresponding to Venus and Mercury and the Sun. Some of the orbitals around the gas planets are pretty active too. They make different types of waves and or send out traveling waves. Obviously, we talked about the electromagnetic force before in my previous post, according to the Sun and or following the post about the Sun. It's mostly. Sorry, I was on something. But this was like a year ago. Let's go to some following introductions. Obviously, you see my electronic tools and the other things that we can do with our bound discoveries. Using the four physical phases of matter. Sorry, excuse me, 1 second. Let's see. Obviously, yes, this is one of my space tools. It's an engine using lasers. Those are different types of. Those are like it's a long engine, inside of my satellite system. Or you can have a smaller one. I mean, it basically works sufficiently in both ways. A little faster. I also have other accelerative ways using my engine, and also the electromagnetic force. So let's see, where are we gonna go? Besides the following fields of the core, my hydrogen company, jokes about I'm not using the military. It was just the help. So I mean, all throughout the years, I talked about spin currents and spin spattles and different electromagnetic interactions going on in the atmosphere. So it was basically more introductions to my hydrogen company. I every year since 2008, I've most likely talked about it. This is different layers of the atmosphere, and we all know, like microscopic data and or molecular data and or particles. They all flow in different layers of the atmosphere over our heads, like different channels. Some of them bond together and they form different types of ion-like channels and our ion-like formations. So basically these were other introductions of tower-like tools that go like a little bit under the clouds or inside of the clouds. It's basically a frequency tool that can do different types of things to the colliding particles inside the container of the clouds. Now the container is it's a wide introduction of a variety of things we can do, and also sustaining different types of wormhole-like interactions. Hold on 1 second. Let me get out of here. I'm at the gym right now. Again, still working out. Taking a little break. Let's see. Where am I? Examples of my collider. Obviously, we've talked about that before too. Now, as we go along, the core. Different types of radio tools. I forgot about this. This is just another example of the tools that I'm going to make with my hydrogen or chemical company. So these are big giant radio tools that have extremely huge currents, traveling along from its charge point, trying to recognize and or create ion channels for different gravitational waves to be found. See, a lot of people don't really do any of the ion channel methods with the radio and our frequency tools to do more explorations with molecular data in space and our gravitational data around these orbiting planets that have the actual electronic interactions going on and or the physical phases that release and or attracts matter and or the matter type, depending on the charge and the specific gravity of the charge or microgravity, you would get the particle-like interaction and or the matter or antimatter-like interaction. Usually our magnetic field kind of rejects a lot of different types of things, although in space we could do other things. And my frequency tool, it's completely different. This one's an accelerating plasma frequency tools. It sufficiently sustains the microgravity through the different phases of its acceleration. Like, for example, for 2 hours it will accelerate at over like 3,000 miles per hour, and then for like, maybe like 42 hours it'll accelerate at like 200 miles per hour. Then it'll go back into different, physical phases of scaling, space in ways that we've never seen before. It's an amazing tool. It sufficiently sucks and vacuums, the atmosphere, and it can also do other things like separate the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere along with the oxygen and nitrogen, and also sulfuric separation. So it's a really cool like mechanical linear like kind of like an atmospheric or rocket cycle type of machine. Although we can make large quantities of money with my hydrogen chemical company for using the hydrogen and the plasma state and the other four physical states of matter by freezing things and preserving things in different states of its separating the atmospheric like particles, along with other charges that could be found. The discoveries will constantly happen over constant curvature. We get the ionosphere and Earth's upper atmosphere, and atmospheric electricity, and the magnetosphere, and radio propagation. So you would see why my hydrogen company would lead to these other huge, massive tools on the ground and or in the ocean for our atmospheric, survival. Basically, producing different propagations to make these specific ion channels man-made that will help us survive and or lead to other discoveries from the attractions and or the stream ion channel that we create or find that's traveling in space. It would make a wormhole stability through a different duration, maybe months, years, sometimes even weeks. The different durations of sustaining an ion channel that could carry us will be how I do my research with hydrogen in my hydrogen chemical company. So we get the electromagnetic force. We get how we can carry data and in many different ways of the electromagnetic force informing matter. And we understand Coulomb's law and electron capture, since we can capture data like no other, and the atoms and molecules will only respond to electronic configurations, just like how I explained, and the other aspects of the four physical quantities or phases of matter, and the fundamental forces that come along with the electromagnetic force and gravity. Since gravity is the largest equation of light around sustaining things, and we understand photons, the electromagnetic field, light and speed of a vacuum, so I kind of explained, my previous tool. Now we're going to get to, other examples of, that's not what I was looking for. Other examples of, trying to sustain and, different things with my radio tools, along with the plasma, hydrogen and its plasma state constantly accelerating, sustaining the ion channel that would only make molecular formations in deep space and or outside of the magnetic field. It would be like a surging wave traveling. Although it's not, some of the particle-like interactions wouldn't come towards Earth. It would stay connected like a wormhole, frequency. This is a smaller one. I had an example with a robot arm. The frequencies you would see how the bending would come. Okay, so let's get back. Now, we have carbon, phosphorus, hydrogen, nitrogen. Those are the things that will come with my hydrogen company. So one of the biggest parts of my hydrogen company would also involve the breakthroughs of fusion energy, collecting different types of lightning-like interactions with the natural storms that will come, and the collisions that come from space and the atmosphere, the ion channel-like formation, how's it going, that I stream and are potentially make gravitational contact to and or rippling waves. Sustaining it with my plasma tools would only be other aspects in our fusion methods of dark energy research. So we understand Newton's laws of gravitation, vector quantities, directions of gravitational forces, and its magnitude. So you understand the magnitudes would be the different acceleration phases of my plasma tools and how fast it's spinning constantly. It's a gravitational constant, and it will constantly spin in different types of magnitude phases of us trying to find and or sustain different types of ion channels for, like, transmissions and our receptions of data, since data can only be found as we constantly curve into our solar system. Now, let's see, where is my other electronic tools that I previously showed examples of? Oh, so other electronic tools. So whenever I was talking about the CO2 problems and the producing more oxygen and more than farms, what was also another aspect of my chemical company. I talked about this for years, although we could talk about this another day. It basically vacuums the atmosphere, and it splits the carbon dioxide and the oxygen, as it goes through this different electrical tool. The electronic configurations are different from paramagnetic and diamagnetic. Elements are really, really interesting. We have to get and do research more on the frequency, and we would get more out of it through different nuclear phases of the core, since I would get more research done with my hydrogen chemical company, and the bonds that I make will lead to more outstanding innovations. Sorry, different things, different examples, different days. Sorry. So those were just different days. So I'm looking for my examples of radio tools. I'm looking for. Obviously, yes, I do a lot of research on the sun, and I've seen a lot of stream-like formations of electronic charges. Although some of the magnitudes that made it to the surface were also in durations. Sometimes the durations of the magnitudes cycled around constant curvature, and that's just where I've been, doing my research on not only space, different sectors of space, also the planets, but everything that we can make foundations in using the electronic charges and or the electromagnetic force. It also led to other point-like tools that we could use to sustain things as we constantly curve over the core. The core, it would help us with different types of fusion-like interactions or light-like tools that we would, that would help us over constant curvature. This is another method of interacting with the electromagnetic force. Obviously, we know the different types of lightning-like plasma and the different types of interactions they have. Some more different and during different solar storms, or sometimes it's just different types of charges that enter, or sometimes it's magnetic waves or gravitational waves. The gravitational waves have more impacts to sustaining different types of ion channels and so I can't really find my tools at the moment. The photos of me, maybe it's in here. Nope, this isn't it. So it disappeared. Some of my plasma tools, examples obviously here I talked about different types of the magnetic field and their frequency of light at the frequency of the magnetic current and its magnetic behavior, along with gravity and the strength of gravity. I think this is an example. Other plasma-like tools. I was using, Roller Coaster Tycoon to show the ring-like formation, and in the atmosphere are really high in the atmosphere. These plasma rings for different types of ion channels to be formed. I also showed different types of hydrogen-like interactions with my mountain-like, tools. It would make clouds stay around the mountains, and it would look pretty cool. Okay, so basically, let's get back to. Oh, here we go. My plasma tools. Other magnetic ring-like formations using the ocean and splitting the hydrogen splitting hydrogen from oxygen. Obviously, not only would I have a lot of oxygen, the oxygen that I could contain could also be used in a lot of different ways. You could also sustain different type of nuclear reactions with oxygen, because oxygen is one of the most reactive elements into our on the planet. Basically, it's the most oxidative reactive. So it could do good with other types of fusions and plasma like research, making other like discoveries. So we have all these chemical elements in my hydrogen chemical company. Basically, it will save us a lot through different type of nuclear reactions, either outside from the sun and or from the core, because I'm just really good like that, girl. You know what I mean? So the foundations that I have with my hydrogen company will just be another step forward to our world, to our universe, to everything we can do with my discoveries over space-time curvature. My company will make a lot of products too. Don't worry. People can mess with the atomic universe using my products. Obviously, here's an example. Trying to sell so people could. Oh no, that was a different one. But my foundations are clear, and everything's gonna be cool. Sorry about all the other stuff that I had. They're just random things, different days, different typing. Oh, this is another thing, my collider collides in the center, but that's just one out of different examples that I have. This is more of a gravitational equation collider. Its quantities of central colliding as an aspect of the four physical phases, along with electricity and sustaining the plasma like behavior for different durations. So that was it for today. You see the universe, and I will be going on with my day.